everybody, my name is Kristen McManus. I teach 11th and 12th grade social studies at Brownfield, and I just wanted to give a quick screencast on how to use Edpuzzle, just in case you cannot come to the PD that I will be providing in August of 2020. I think it's a really awesome tool, and I'll actually tell you a little bit why. I had taken a PD on Edpuzzle a few years ago at this point and hadn't really started to use it until we had no choice but to go remote this past spring. And what I really liked about it was that not only did it check that my students were comprehending the videos that they were watching that I was putting out towards them, it also told me whether or not they actually really did watch the video. It linked directly to my Google Classroom, so the integration between the two mediums were great. And there was plenty of teacher content that was already on there. And so I didn't have to recreate the wheel every time. Sometimes I just had to adjust some of the lessons that were already there. And I just found it to be a really useful tool for remote and plan on using it whether we are hybrid, in person, or remote going forward. So to begin with, the rest of this, I really am going to sort of be more hands-on. And so I'm going to show you my screen as I navigate around doing this stuff. And so I would start by going to edpuzzle.com. Now, if you've never signed in before, then you will have to click sign up. And then of course you click I'm a teacher and you click on the Google icon to sign in with your PS Harvard account. So why don't we go ahead and do that? I'm going to go to edpuzzle.com. And if you have never signed in before, you should go to sign up, click I'm a teacher, and then sign in with Google. And of course, it will go and walk you through and ask you to pick your PS Harvard account. I, of course, already have an account. So instead of going to sign up, I am going to go to login. And then they say, I'm a teacher, and here's my login information, and here we go. On our home page for Edpuzzle, and what you'll see is here I have content. This is stuff that I did last spring and that I've been starting to look at this summer. But if I were to go to my home page here, you'll see that they'll show you things that are trending right now in history and social studies across from Edpuzzle, what's trending in Massachusetts, trending in the United States, and so on and so forth. So could be interesting if you want to see what other teachers are doing, or perhaps something pops up that might be interesting. The curriculum part, I actually just stumbled upon this recently, and of course I teach high school, so I'm going to go to view content at high school, and then I teach social studies, so I'm going to click social studies, and then of course I'm just going to say, okay, here I am at European history, which is one of the courses I teach. If you look, what they've actually done is curated videos by the major topics of my course. Which is fabulous, right? And they do this for all the other courses of science, math, English, and so on. So let's just say I'm going to be teaching World War I, and you'll see that there are a bunch of videos that have been curated that are all about World War I that other teachers have actually already put questions on. And how I know that they already did that is here, because it says it contains 2 questions or 2 notes. When you see that little bubble next to it, that's what that means. And so there's a fair amount here. And so I could decide that I want to use one of those, or I could go back to my homepage and I could say, well, I don't think that there was really one that I'd like there. I'd be interested to see what Crash Course has. And you'll see here on the left-hand side where it says popular channels, I could go to Crash Course and I could type in World War I. And here we go. We have World War I Part 1, World War I. We have lots of different videos on World War I. I could also on the left-hand side say, well, I remember there being this really good YouTube one that I used to show, and I could go to click YouTube, and I could do the same thing, type in World War I, and it's going to show me here what is currently on YouTube. Now, if you're saying, hey, but I already have it on YouTube, I know it's on my channel, you could easily go to your YouTube channel, open up a new tab, look for the video, and you could type it in here and it would pull directly from YouTube as well. So that's the kind of nice thing. And the thing about it is that it's already curated. It takes a lot of the effort away that we might normally do when we're searching through all this terrible stuff sometimes that pops up when we do a YouTube search. Now that was just a walkthrough of the homepage. page. One of the most important parts here is going to be my classes. And so you'll see here that I have the 3 classes that I taught from last year. And there are some interesting things that you will note once your classes are actually already up here. For example, it shows me here on this assignment, The Fall of the Roman Empire, that the due date was April 23rd and that 24 out of 24 kids passed it in. Now I would open it and show you, but there's some student names in there and so on, so I don't want to do that at the moment. So what I do want to show you though is on the left hand side here under my classes, if you click add new class, you can either create a new class that you want to name, whatever it is that you would like to name, and then you can actually give students a code. So let's do it just to do it. Let's just say I'm going to call this Edpuzzle class take 2, and then they say, oh, okay, do I want the classic type or do I want the open type? And this is the classic type. You'll see here it says that when your students log in or sign up, you'll get all the analytics from Edpuzzle. It shows their progress and so on. And so that's what I would choose. And so I can create a class. And then what would happen is I would have to go in and individually invite students. Now I could do that by sharing this link and then giving them this code and either doing it via email or Google Classroom, etc., etc. But Edpuzzle actually, like I told you before, integrates really well with Google Classroom on its own. So you could click add new class and then just click Google Classroom. And what it's going to do is, because you're already logged in with your Google account, it's going to pull up all of your Google Classroom classes. And so I'm going to click on this one that I created that I named Edpuzzle Dummy Class, and it's going to import it for me. And so it takes a minute, so just got to give it some time to think. And here's my Edpuzzle Dummy Class. And so it will automatically put my students in here. Now I put a test student in here just so you could see what it looks like. But if for some reason your students aren't showing up, or perhaps you did this on the second day of school and some students ended up being added in, you could go to import students and it kind of like refreshes it for you, which is really nice. Now, once you actually have assignments in here, under the Do Assignments tab, it would look like, you would actually see videos listed here, and you would also see them here under Due Date. So let's go in then, and you're probably wondering, okay, how do I add a video? Well, there's lots of different ways that you can do it, but first, the best way would be going back to the Edpuzzle homepage. You could, of course, just pick one of the things that are trending, but to make it easier, I want to go to My Content on the left. And up here on the right-hand corner, you'll see a blue button called Add Content. And so you can either create a video, upload a video, have organized into folders or a student project. I'm going to show you first how to upload a video. So let's say you have created a screencast, much like I'm doing now, and I say, okay, I would like to put it in there, and I want to put some comprehension questions in my screencast and put it up on Edpuzzle for my students so that I can sort of see, A, that they're comprehending, and B, I can track their progress. So I'm going to go to choose a file, and I'm just going to go onto my desktop. I'm going to go to something that I recorded for my AP students. Oh, okay, I'm not going to do that because it's going to take too long. I'm just going to go to the first part of the screen recording that I have actually done for you here. So I'm going to click open. It is going to take a few minutes, particularly depending on how big your file is. If you have a half-hour screencast, it could actually take a little bit, so please do keep that in mind. It's uploaded. I'm going to click on it. And there are some things that I would like to do. For example, I would like to edit it. I would, of course, like to add some questions. So I'm going to go and click over here on the edit button. And then what I want to edit is the beginning part where you will actually, if you were to press play, you'll see that I'm kind of clicking around waiting for it to get up.
Hello, everybody.
And then you hear me say hello, everybody, right? So I don't want everybody to see that first few seconds. So I'm going to say here.
Hello, everybody. My name.
And I'm going to edit it and add a cut at about 3 or 4 seconds here. And so I can just toggle and move that blue bar, and then it will automatically start there for me. Now, I don't really have any desire to add a voiceover, but I do want to add some questions. So I want to add some questions later on in the video, right about here.
The PD that I will be watching that I was putting out towards them. It also told a remote going forward.
All right, so I want to put a question right at the end of this slide where maybe I say, okay, in a multiple choice, what are the benefits of Edpuzzle? And I can say here, check student comprehension, and so on and so forth, right? And so I'm going to say, okay, well, this is the correct answer here. I'm going to say just here. It's easy. Then let's just say that's the wrong answer. So by pressing save, now you'll see this little bubble here that shows that I've added a multiple choice question. And you know, you can go and edit it if you don't love it or you forgot to do something. You can delete it as well, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, when you're finished, you can say, okay, it's ready to go. I love my video. And then you click assign, and you, of course, put it where you want. So I'm going to put it on my Edpuzzle dummy class. I'm going to say there's no due date, and so on and so forth. I want it to post on my Google Classroom, and I'm going to say assign. Now, one thing here you'll notice is there is not an option for closed captioning, and that I think is just because it's like a user-generated video. This is a video that I had created myself. And I'm going to assign it to my Edpuzzle dummy class, and then there you go. Here it goes showing up here. And I will explain in a little bit about what this will look like when it comes to the students. How you would take a video that somebody else has already created. So I'm going to go over to curriculum like I had before, and I'm just going to go ahead and take one of those World War I videos that I was looking at before. So I'm going to go over here, European history, World War I, and here we go. I have a crash course video that I know and I like. Now, I'm going to take one that already has some questions embedded in it because I would like to not sort of recreate the wheel. I've had my students watch this video before. I know it's a good one, so I'm going to click it. Now, I always look at the questions though, and I would caution you to do the same because not every teacher is going to ask the same types of questions. Not every teacher is going to want to have their students answer as many as I see here, and there are lots and lots of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and look a little bit first to see what kind of questions this teacher has posted. So by clicking on this.
Okay, but the thing is, attributing character.
Clicking here on the bottom, that little bubble, it brings me to the first one. Who do most historians believe was the chief cause of World War I? Now I can click, okay, this is me in student view. Okay, I'm going to say Serbia. And then I'm going to submit. And you'll see that it will tell you right away whether or not you got that correct as a student, which is pretty great. Now, if the students are like, what, that doesn't make sense, they can actually go back and re-watch that part of the video to see, oh, like, what is it that I maybe missed in that video that I didn't get this question correct? And then by pressing continue,
okay, but the thing is,
video will continue to go.
Like militarism or...
Now, you can put lots of questions in here. You'll see that that one that I just answered was multiple choice. You'll see that there are some open-ended questions as well. So what I'm going to do is actually edit this for my own use. One quick thing I do want to show you is that if you scroll to the bottom, you will see other versions that other teachers have actually put on there. So maybe you're like, wow, this has a lot of questions. Maybe this isn't the best one. You could go ahead and choose a different video from a different teacher, or you could even go down a little bit further and you can see that they've actually offered you some similar videos. I'm going to just keep this one and I'm going to edit it. And so I'm going to edit this now to make it my own. And so you'll see on the left here that there are multiple choice questions, open-ended questions, and so on. You could also choose to cut the video if you don't want it to start till a different point. You could toggle here and it would actually cut it for you. The defending
positions business, Mr. Green, I'm more in the like bold.
You can uncut it right by resetting and so on. You could do a voiceover. So perhaps you want the students to hear your voice. Perhaps you don't like how he is explaining something. You could record your own voiceover. And then you could add questions. So you could add a multiple choice question, which is graded automatically. It's very easy. You would type your question here. Who started World War I? And then you would type your answers. Okay, Germany, Austria-Hungary, etc., etc. And then by clicking over here, you could click as to which answer is correct or incorrect, and maybe more than one answer is correct. And so you could say that both of them are, right? And then you could add another answer choice. So you could do it something like true, false. Germany started World War One, and then the true answer could be here and the false answer could be here. So there's lots of different options. You can also, if you choose, you'll see that you can add images, you can add links to other things, and so on and so forth. So that is one such question that you could put. You could also do an open-ended question, and this could be where the students just have to say, well, I think that blank started World War One, right? And you could save it there. You could also do something that is not at all a question, but is a note. So what this is going to do is actually stop the students at any given point during the video, and you can either record yourself saying it, or you can just give a note saying, well, many historians have thought that blank started World War One. Some recent historical scholarship actually thinks that perhaps it was more due to this reason, right? And I could write a little note, or I could have my own voice saying that, so that the students would be able to know it from a different perspective, because maybe the video did not provide that. Now, I won't lie to you, when we were in the midst of remote learning and I was bogged down in treading water, as we all were at one point or another, I must say that I relied more on the multiple choice questions. And I did that for my own use because one particular week I was so bogged down and I had so much correcting to do. And I know that this program will autocorrect the multiple choice. And so it was a quick way for me to just see that the students were understanding the material and that they were doing the work that they should have been doing as well. But of course, you do what works for your own classroom. If you are more of an open-ended question kind of person, by all means do that. If you want to do a mix, do the same as well. There's no right answer when it comes to how you're going to do this in your classroom. So then when I'm all done, let's say I've added a few questions, maybe even I take some out, which you could of course do if you would like as well. Then I'm going to press finish, and this now becomes my video. So you'll see here that now it says my name, that now all the questions are over here as well. And there you go. It's pretty much as simple as that. Now, it is currently public, but you could also make it private. You can fool around with stuff like that. You could delete it. I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to keep it, and so on and so forth. I have my video all set with the questions that I want and all that stuff. Now you want to assign it. So you click on this assign button here, and it will tell you, okay, it'll ask which one would you like to do. So I would like it to go to my Edpuzzle dummy class. I'm going to say that my start date is today at, you can actually do it by the minute and hour. So, okay, 12 a.m. works perfectly for me. And that my due date will be tomorrow by midnight, and I'll say save. And then this is an interesting thing that I did not use at first, but then I started to use it. And this is a toggle to prevent skipping. So what it is that when the students actually watch the video, thinking from a student perspective, they might actually just fast forward to get to the question, to answer the question so they can be done. Well, by turning this on, it prevents them from fast forwarding. So it actually requires them to watch the entire video. So I have used it, and I have liked it because at least it enables me, it makes me sure that the students have watched the entire thing. Now you can also turn on closed captioning and so on and so forth. And then here, you can post to Google Classroom. So I'm going to say that, yes, I would like it to post it to Google Classroom when I assign it. So here I am. I'm going to go assign. And here we go. Now, as the student or as the teacher, you'll see each of your students listed here. You'll see whether or not they've watched it, what their grade on it was. For example, did they get 8 out of 10 correct or 3 out of 10? When they watched it, did they watch it yesterday? Did they watch it today? Whether or not it's turned in, and then you can reset their progress. Let's say they had something go wrong in the middle of the video and you want to reset their progress for whatever reason. You can also toggle over here to questions, and you can see, okay, here's the multiple choice question, and here's how many people got each question wrong and each question correct. And that's nice too, because at least maybe you think, and this happened to me this past year, oh no, I totally screwed up on the answer to this particular question, it should have been something else, I can say, well, no wonder 24 out of 24 students got it wrong, right? And it just gives you a little bit more insight into the actual questions here. So if you want to see what it looks like from a perspective of the student, really quick, I'm going to go into the dummy class that I've created. So here it is from a student's perspective. Give my internet a minute to catch up. All right, so here is the student in my dummy class. And I'm going to go to the dummy class, and here you'll see it's posted here. Now, if I were to pull that up, as a student, I can go in and watch it directly from this link. It will pull up Edpuzzle. And of course, I'm still logged in as a teacher, but theoretically from the student's perspective, it would pull up here. Now, interesting thing that it does as well is, let's say I'm going to start watching this video, and here we go.
Hi, I'm John Green. This is Crash Course World History and
Now, what I've done is I've actually gone to a different tab to go back to the Google Classroom. The video stops.
Today we continue
and
our
you go back
discussion
and
of
it
how
starts
a
up again.
regional
You go over and it stops. This is also a nice feature of
conflict
Edpuzzle.
became
Pause
world.
that real quick, because again, it enables you to know that the students aren't multitasking, because we have all done it where we're listening to a webinar in the background or something else, but we know that that's not necessarily the best way to learn. So this means that the students have to stay in this browser tab to watch this video and of course try to answer the questions. Okay, now one other thing I want to show you is from the perspective of the teacher. Once the student goes in and they have watched the video, you will actually see that their score will be auto-populated here in Google Classroom as well, which is a nice feature, because then you can go and click there and return it to them, and they know that you've looked at their grade and so on and so forth. Point out is that I'm on the basic account at the moment, which is free, but our district does plan on providing us with the paid version of this. And the difference is one of them anyway, is that you are only allowed a limited amount of videos on the free version, whereas the paid version you are of course allowed unlimited. So you'll see down here, for example, I have unavailable content because I'm on the free version. But I hope you otherwise enjoyed my screencast on Edpuzzle, and thanks for watching, and please do let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to email me at any point.